Hello and welcome back to Small Room Audio. Today we collectively, me and her, if she doesn't bark at people walking past the door, are going to look at this, the NAD M10. Now, this isn't what I would term a traditional review today, more of one of our fireside discussions and chats. Why? Well, frankly, the world and its wife has reviewed the NAD M10 already, and I wanted to come at this at a different angle. And also, my hi-fi chum Simon over at 13th Note has already done a fantastic review of this, and what I'm going to do is link to his review down there in the description box. In fact, if you haven't watched that already, do watch that first, because largely I agree with everything he's saying in that review. So there's no point treading over old ground. Today we're going to come at this at a different point of view, different angle, more of a chat around the principles, I think, around the NAD M10. Let's start off with what my opinions were, I guess, about the NAD M10 rather, before I actually got my hands on it. Because I saw other reviews and I saw it online and I thought, yeah, it's a small plastic box. Didn't really set my heart racing, I've got to be honest. I wasn't really thinking, ooh, I've got to review that. Why? Well, my personal taste, I either like old school with a modern twist or quirky, something that kind of stands out. And when it's just about stuff everything in a box with a bit of Class D amplification and make it easy, I was like, yeah, I mean, it was okay. I also thought it looked like it might be a bit cheapy, a bit sort of plasticky. I'd want to say now, I was definitely wrong about that. When I got it out of the box, in fact, taking it out of the box itself is an experience because the packaging is great. It's very much like what you get with Sonos, where you take it out and you go, ooh, this thing is quality. You take it out, suddenly you're struck by heaviness, weightiness, and then realise it's not plastic at all. You've got Gorilla Glass on the top here with a nice NAD logo, which lights up when you turn it on. And you've got a very good quality screen at the front, which again I didn't appreciate from seeing other people's reviews or seeing it online. This big old screen at the front here is much better and much bigger than what you get from, say, an Auralix streamer product. This really is lovely to look at. And the build quality in general is really high class. I've got to say, I was taken aback by just the solidity of this item. It is, well, it's quality. It's quality from NAD. And yeah, I started to think, okay, maybe my preconceptions about this might be a bit wrong. And I'd like to say they are, because this is a very good unit indeed. And it is definitely high class amplification for high class speakers. It comes in at about £2,200. Of course, it's a streaming amplifier, so everything you need is in here, the DAC, the streamer. You just link it up with the Blue OS app or with Spotify or something like that direct and start playing music. It really is quick and easy. So, taking a step back then, why would you buy this? What is it that inspires you to think, yeah, I don't want to get separates anymore, I want to get this? And you know, my immediate thought was lifestyle. Perhaps, you know, you've got kids on the way, or you know, you're sort of downsizing, you want to sort of tidy up the listening room, make it look a bit more like a Swedish living room with minimalist design, and you want to slot something in which is of good quality, looks nice, and you know, does the job. Also, I think ease comes into this. Now, I don't work in hi-fi at all. I actually work in insurance. I know, very dull and boring. But in my everyday life, when I go to work, the one thing that we always talk about is ease. Trying to make something easy for the customer, and that brings competitive advantage. And if you do ease well, then yeah, do you know what? There is value in that. And I think that is the essence of the NAD M10. It does ease very, very well. It's not something with ease that you would necessarily associate with hi-fi. In fact, sometimes we like complexity, don't we? Because we have the amplifier, the preamplifier, the streamer, the DAC, all the interconnects, the phono stage, the vinyl, all the different styluses, all the different cartridges. The list goes on. And actually, in hi-fi, we really embrace complexity because the tinkering is almost like a ritual. We are kind of ritualistic animals who like to kind of move things around, tweak the sound a little bit. We do the same thing with our rooms. We might put panels up, we might take panels down, we might move things around within the room itself. There's definitely an element of ritual within hi-fi, which I think a lot of people really enjoy, because you feel you're in control of this this kind of domain in which you can exist and enjoy your music, and also the way that you created it yourself. It's almost like a puzzle that you put together. Never-ending one, and quite an expensive one at that. So if something like this comes along and it says, don't do that, just do this, it feels strange. It felt strange for me because suddenly all of that ritual is taken away. And what's it replaced by? The answer is ease. And initially you think, okay, well, ease is buying me what? Essentially, time. And time is a valued commodity, particularly in our modern lives. We go to work, we come back, perhaps we're working from home, quite a lot of us now, and we don't have much time. And actually listening to music is something that you need time to do to really appreciate it. To get from one end of an album to the end, you need 40 minutes to an hour, sometimes longer if it's a big conceptual piece. So we need time to appreciate the music we've got, and this delivers that. I think as well with time, I've got more time now to discover new music through the NAD M10, and that's what I did a lot of over the last few weeks whilst I was evaluating this. And what I'll do is I'll share in the next segment all of the different tunes that I discovered and just tell you a little bit about those. So as I said, with the NAD M10, I've been discovering a lot of new music. Now, way back when I was at university, I used to do that quite a lot via going into a music shop and just sort of listening to CDs. And I found lately I'm not discovering a lot of new music as I used to, but with an NAD M10, because it's so easy to set up, I can just smash it on for 20 minutes and go through Spotify and pick some cool tracks. So I wanted to share with you some of those tracks that I've got in my like list here, which I've been discovering through the NAD M10. The first one is Niels Frahm song, Sun Song, which is playing in the background there on my iPhone. I can get any of that, but it's a nice kind of atmospheric tune. What's quite cool with this is it gives you lots of spatial cues in the imaging when you get to this bit. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So that one's very nice in the NAD M10 because it's really clear and precise when you're going through and listen to it. Pretty long track as well, about 8 minutes long. I've also quite liked listening to this artist. Hadn't heard of him at all, completely new to me. Kishi Bashi, and this track Manchester. It's quite a fever-pitched dream, really. It's very nice. It kind of goes all through, almost like going through the seasons. It's got an ebb and a flow to it, which is beautiful, and it's a really nice track. Definitely check that one out. This one's quite cool. So timely. This is Coraline. Caroline. That's by a band from Italy called Maneskin. Now that might be familiar to you because Maneskin perform in the Eurovision Song Contest, which is actually on tonight. If you're watching this video, which you probably are after the Eurovision, they may have won it. Who knows? They're one of the favourites. I hope they do, because actually they are a very good band and their album is worth checking out. Italian kind of indie rock, if you like, but with quite a lot of soul and nice bit of gravel in the lead singer's voice. Now this one's a great one for exploring soundstage. I wouldn't say it's the best song in the world, it's more of an experience than it is something you'd put on to relax to or even listen to for anything other than a bit of speaker fun. It's called A True Story of a Story of True Love by The Books. It's, can you hear that? It's quite odd, I would say. It's almost like one of those Yoshihiro Kawa tracks where you've kind of got sounds coming out of the ceiling. It comes all the way around and skips across the soundstage. Really good on the NAD M10 because it has that level of resolution and ideal placement of imaging, which really makes it a joy to listen to. We'll do one more, something a bit more traditional. I mean, everyone's heard of this, right? But this is really, really cracking on the NAD M10. I Put a Spell on You by Nina Simone. What a brilliant all-time classic. The lady has a beautiful voice. It's a great track. Stick it on the NAD M10. Obviously not discovered this for the first time through the NAD M10, but I rediscovered it. Wow. great. Anyway, enough about music, back to NAD M10, but it has allowed me to go back to what this hobby is all about, which is finding new tunes, old tunes, and listening to music. A quick note about the Dirac Live implementation in the NAD. Yes, it does clean up the bass frequencies. It doesn't go all the way through the frequency sphere. You do need to upgrade for that. Does it make things cleaner and better? Yes, it does. Do I think it is a fundamental must-have as part of this amplifier? No, not really. In fact, I'm not that into Dirac Live as a piece of software. It does work, but I have been burnt in the past trying to use it with the Mini DSP Studio, so maybe I'm a little bit biased against it. It's okay. It does the job of cleaning things up. If you can get to work on the app, which I did, then it's a lot easier than faffing around on your computer. So anyway, that's enough about Dirac Live. It does its job, but it's not the fundamental reason to buy this amplifier. The fundamental reason to buy it is streaming, DAC, amplification, all excellent, all really easy. Jobs are good. So, back to the NAD M10. You're probably thinking, okay, enough about the fact it's easy, enough about the fact you've got more time to listen to music. Tell us about what it sounds like. And yep, I'm getting there. Don't worry, we will cover that, because obviously that is the big theme of the Small Room Audio Reviews. We're less about technicals and more about sound. And I was worried that this wouldn't move me, say, in the same way as a tube amp, or it wouldn't have the same dynamic essence of something which has got tons of Class A or AB power. But it does. It does enough. It doesn't sound as good as a £4,000 tube amplifier to my ears. No, that is true. But it does enough to be high end. It does enough to move you, to engage you, to make you feel like the highs are high enough, the lows are low enough, and those mids are really nice, crisp, clean, and clear. It's very good, and good enough, I would have thought, for most people to really enjoy it, if ease is a priority for you and time is of the essence. So what's it compared to, say, the XM5 amplifier from Exposure that I reviewed recently? Well, that of course is an integrated amplifier as well, also small form, but that's Class AB and doesn't have integrated streaming. What this brings is a better form factor, it's much more modern, it's easier to live with, but perhaps the XM5 brings with it better prat. What is prat, I hear you say? Well, if you don't know, in England the word prat means you're a bit of an idiot. You'd come out with a sentence like, "Don't be an idiot, you prat," or something like that. But in hi-fi, prat stands for pace, rhythm, and timing, and that's that kind of essence of bobbing along and kind of getting into the music and bouncing along with it. The NAD M10 has decent prat, but it doesn't have the pace, rhythm, and timing of the Exposure amplifier, the XM5. So that's a better choice if you want to really get that rhythmic element going. What this does have over the XM5, of course, is that inbuilt streamer and a much better DAC, in my opinion. It gives you more resolution, and it also kind of, it just comes together better. With the XM5, you'd have to probably add an external DAC and an external streamer. So although that is a cheaper option, once you've added those things in, you're probably coming in about the same as the NAD M10, and it's multiple boxes again. The complexity starts adding up. So, you know, you've got to pick your poison. Do you want to go simplicity, all in one, but you can't then do much to upgrade it? Or do you want to go separates or something in between? So going back to the sort of overall sound signature here, you've got a nice wide soundstage. It's not super deep, but it is deep enough. And it's just a rather lovely piece. It kind of reminds me of when I got my first iPhone. Do you remember that? When you got your first iPhone, that experience of kind of unwrapping it from the nice packaging and then sort of presented by a nice Gorilla Glass kind of finish. And then you're rather in that kind of framework with iPhones, aren't you? Because it's hard to then leave iPhones and Apple because it's easy to use, you know how to use it, you know where you're going with your next upgrade, even if a manufacturer offered you something which is intrinsically better for less price, a bit like a Samsung product. Can you be bothered to then, you know, learn it all again? And I kind of feel like this is a similar sort of experience with the NAD. This is like the iPhone of integrated streaming amplifiers. It feels nice, it's easy to use. Why would I want to leave that once I've kind of got into the groove with it? So yeah, that's kind of my feelings on it. I think it's an excellent piece, one that is much more engaging and interesting than I first thought. and I think a lot of people will be extremely happy with this. It's got oodles of power, it can drive pretty much anything you need, particularly in a small room, and form factor is perfect for a small room as well. It will buy you ease, it will buy you time, it will buy you more time to discover new music, listen to music, put the music first, and just relax and enjoy the hobby for what it is. I think that's pretty much us done. That is the NAD M10. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do like and subscribe, and we'll see you back here very soon.